All right, so we're cue up the presentation for the state of the business. So again, just want to reiterate the Postmaster General's message and thank you for being here today, both from the industry side and the commitment that the team here in Wichita has made to have some folks here from your delivery units and stations and branches. So appreciate that. And so we'll just queue up. You can go on to the next slide. Actually, it kind of starts in at slide 3 there. There you go. So you're going to hear a lot of messaging here that kind of relates to what the Postmaster General already told you, or some of the snippets that you've heard from some of our leaders that were at NPF. I know that we do have a drawing after we're done here today for someone to win a trip to the National Postal Forum in San Antonio. I'm very excited, hoping that I'm going to be a big part of that NPF next year. I was this year. Love Baltimore, but really love San Antonio, right? So in having said that too, we want to make sure that we remember our folks all in Texas and Florida, and especially now Puerto Rico, that are experiencing such difficulties with just life in general. It kind of makes all of what we do seem a little insignificant when folks are just struggling to get by day to day for food and clothing and water. So again, so starting out here, so we talk a lot about adapting to a changing marketplace, right? We were talking earlier, I was talking to Lori and said, you know, or to Tracy, I think, and said that the only constant nowadays is change. And really, if all of us look back at our careers and our lives, and really there is not, I can't remember any other time in my life where, again, things have been so disruptive and moving at such a fast pace for us, right? So the Postal Service has and is working to stay true to our core mission, which is to bind the nation by facilitating the delivery of information and products around the country and around the world, right? So the way in which we connect and we conduct commerce has greatly changed. And as consumers, with your consumer hat on, not necessarily your mailer or postal service hat on as an employee, we're all tethered to our devices. You know, obviously I'm using my iPad here to help me along with some notes for the session. Most of you either have a phone that's attached to your body or in your hand or on your table, right? So we are all attached, and our customers are all attached as well. That's just the way it is. You know, if I need to know something technologically, I go ask my 4-year-old nephew, right? Because he's the one that knows how all that works. So our buying behaviors and expectations as consumers continue to change as well, right? This culture of immediacy where we want everything now. We don't want to wait. So we expect our orders to be fulfilled in near real time, if not within a couple of days or the same day. Even 2-hour delivery is going to become possibly the norm at some point, and the Postal Service is working to help facilitate that. And the other thing is instant access to services as well, right? So cars and bike shares and those types of things are also very prominent. We're no longer just looking for services, but we're looking for experiences and things that actually generate a feeling or an emotion or a social connection for us. And so at the touch of a screen, I can order a car service. You probably have Uber here. We don't have that yet in Sioux Falls. We're a little bit behind the times, but or make a reservation at a restaurant, or check in for my flights, which I have been doing fairly regularly lately with the little travel. So with rapidly changing customer expectations and this disruptive marketplace that we're living in, everyone's really figuring out how to adapt and maintain our relevance, right? And strengthen our competitive posture, both us for the Postal Service and U.S. businesses. You can go to the next slide. Thank you. So the changes in advertising are also drastic, right? And growing at an exponential rate. So it's been only 10 years, can you believe it, since the launch of the smartphone and really the concept of mobile advertising when that really came out. And we continue to see exponential growth in this market. So this slide here talks a little bit about the spend, right? Digital spend forecasted to grow another 14% through 2020. And even just from last year to this year, the social ad spend increased 40% to $8.5 billion spent on digital advertising. So it's huge, and due to these trends, obviously direct mail and mail in general has increased competition, right? So we're responding to these trends, and through innovation, through mobile-enabled campaigns, we're looking for the mail to be a catalyst to actually drive customers' awareness, to get your message out to your consumers, or to whether it's your loyal customers or to customers that you're trying to acquire. And ultimately, it leads to higher open rates and conversions for you as businesses. Next slide, Lynn, thank you. So again, we talk about disruption really at an unprecedented level, right? The shakeup of brick and mortar. So we all know that online shopping has become very big, and it's expected to grow 12% year over year, basically, for online retail. It's 3 times higher than the growth rate of the industry as a whole, right? So the implications are for all of us. You don't have, we have about 8,600 stores that are predicted to close in 2017, retail locations. We hear about that all the time. I know what we do up in South Dakota. I'm sure you do here as well in Kansas. The 147 million square feet of space is going to be going away in relation to retail, and it's all going online. So the implications to us is that, you know, we need to work in that world, right? We need to live in that world, and we need to adapt. So folks are looking to the mail actually still to catch someone's attention and bring them back to an online experience. So mail is still very relevant. And as you heard Gary say in his presentation at the NPF, you know, the studies show that direct mail outperforms digital channels by nearly 600%, right? So it is, and these are not studies just done by the Postal Service, right? These are independent studies done by other marketing agencies that show and know the value of mail. You also heard some of the folks there talk about the value of mail that they've experienced, like Chevy or the gal from Vegas that was talking about the response rates that they get to mailings that they send out. So it has value, but it really only has value, honestly, if you do it right. You know, I always give the example of in Sioux Falls, when I first moved back home, I lived in an apartment for a while, and I would get a mailing that would be for lawn services. You know, so I didn't have a lawn, right? So whoever's doing that mailing is not really doing a good job in relation to spending their money wisely on targeting their customers, right? So Marketing 101 plays into a lot of this. So again, the largest percent increase in marketing mail has been for the Postal Service, because we've actually had some decline still in first class and marketing mail, but the largest increase has come from online retailers. So Google is in the mail, Zappos and Wayfair are in the mail, right? And what they understand is that mail works, and it's provides a reliable engagement with customers to actually drive them then to these online experiences. So the other thing that retailers are doing now, and you've experienced it here, I'm sure, is this ship from store fulfillment, right? Again, we want everything right away. Your ability to be able to ship something for less cost is important to you, because your consumers, their number one consideration is how much they pay for shipping costs when they order something online. So the folks are tapping inventories from their local stores versus larger distribution centers. So that's a big change, right? All along over the years, we've been building up these huge distribution centers, and all of a sudden we're going to these smaller, more spread out distribution centers or stores, which again comes back to some of the retail presence. So it all ties in together. But again, we are still looking to be uniquely positioned in the Postal Service to support e-commerce as well. You can go to the next slide. So in a world where digitally engaged customers really kind of suffer from digital fatigue, I know I do, right? And honestly, I get emails. I have an email account. I have the ability to separate what comes into my inbox versus a kind of a spam account or whatever. And a lot of the other stuff, all I really do is go through it just to see if someone possibly changed their email and I'm looking for something. But I personally don't do a lot of responses to email, and unfortunately a lot of that is because so much of it is are scams, right? A lot of folks are really trying to scam us. They, why they can't figure out how to spell and do it the right way is beyond me, because if they did, they'd get more people to buy into this, right? But they, can't use the right prose or whatever. So lucky for us, you can figure that out. But so direct mail really does work. It does elicit a stronger reaction than email or online. There's studies about that too. In Europe, they actually did studies where they, had monitored your brain and how you reacted to a piece of mail that you were opening. So again, it's not something that is one-sided where we're looking at saying that this is what it is or how people react. It's actual studies, and in this case, kind of medical and scientific studies that show that. So we are going to, again, continue to make investments in our data and analytics platforms, and ultimately what we're working for is a smarter mail stream, right? We know that Postal Service was a little behind the ball in relation to getting onto tracking and package tracking, but thank you to Jim Cochran, who has been touting that ever since I was at headquarters for the Postal Service, has been a great proponent of package tracking and have gotten to that point. And now we're in a position where we are actually innovating and doing things proactively, right, instead of reacting to what's going on in the environment. And so it's a very exciting place to be. Mail does continue to still be the primary source of revenue for the Postal Service, right? So you might have heard our third quarter financial reports were out that again kind of showed flat revenues. We've lost volumes again in first class and standard mail or marketing mail, and have taken another hit there, which again is not a huge surprise. The double-digit increase that we've had in package shipping has certainly helped the Postal Service and continue to help us modify our network and do what we need to do to transition from carrying letter mail pieces to larger packages. But honestly, it costs more to deliver a package than it does a letter, right? I can deliver packages, most of them all fit in your mailbox. Letters, mostly all fit in your mailbox. We'll talk a little bit about the next gen mailbox, that's a little bit bigger. But overall, packages don't contribute as much to the overall expenses and a lot of the fixed expenses that the Postal Service has. So the declines continue to force us to take aggressive management actions, right? And this also includes working with legislation. We're still going out there working with the legislation to try and get some of the items that were passed in 2006 modified for the Postal Service, so we don't have these big multi-billion-dollar payments every year that we need to pay. And the problems we recognize, and the Postmaster General recognizes that they're very serious, but they are solvable, right? It's not insurmountable. So we're going to continue to transform our networks, our delivery, our retail operations, and basically adapt and expand to the changing needs of our customers, both consumers and businesses. Thank you. So you saw part of this again in the NPF snippets, that basically we have a 4-pillar strategy to be future ready, right? So the world-class customer experience, both hopefully for our consumers and for our businesses, the engaging and empowering our employees to do the right things on the workroom floor. Our delivery and station managers are here to understand how all that's happening in your environment that's changing, the concept of innovation, and then ultimately investments that we make. And these 4 pillars basically kind of are the basis for everything that we're doing today in the Postal Service under our Postmaster General, Megan Brennan. So this particular pillar, the customer experience, right? So we need to deliver better experiences just like you do as businesses. Everyone understands the concept of trying to meet customers' needs and make customers happy. Our customer experience span everywhere from our retail interactions, delivery at the mailbox, responsiveness of our call centers, again, whether it's for business or consumers, and also a search on our website, right? So every touch point, every interaction, every transaction impacts what people think about our brand. And we understand that, and you have the same concerns as businesses, so we're trying to build the tools, products, features, and services to adapt to our customers' changing needs and behaviors. As part of this effort, you'll see up here we talk about the Premier Experience for business mailers. I didn't realize this was going on until I actually started studying up on my presentation here today, that we have implemented already business solution centers for commercial mailers, right? So through basically consultation, diagnostics, research, recommendations, and hands-on, we're going to be able to help you identify the best mailing solutions. There's currently 93 centers around the country, and we're expecting an additional 29 locations to be enabled before the end of this calendar year. And so the employees at these centers are actually taking new training that was developed based on feedback that was collected from the mailing industry, right? Collected through surveys and also through questions that come in through our help desk. So I was very excited to hear about that. I don't think that the Postal Service has enough face-to-face interaction in those types of places for customers to come to us. So I'm very excited to see that. The other thing we're doing, and the Postmaster General talked about it, is modernizing the payment experience, right? Who thinks it's a little complicated to do business with the Postal Service based on payment and paperwork and all of that? So we get it. You know, a lot of this stuff has developed over years. We have silos, we have things built, you know, we still have applications that don't talk to each other. So we're coming around internally. We've seen it. I've seen a single password entry for most of our applications now, which we didn't have for the longest time. So we get it. We're trying to provide a single and secure self-service online account management and payment system for the mailing industry. So it's going to allow centralized payment and account management. It's currently available for customers that already do have a lot of P.O. boxes, and you can take your P.O. box management, renewals, and fees that you can do through this process. And the solution's also available for address correction services. So a couple of dipping our toe in the water to get started on that. And keep in mind, again, that this is for commercial mailings largely, right? So, which I would expect some of you fall into that bucket. So then to enhance the delivery experience, right, we're going to leverage electronic documentation and package barcodes and digital data to make sure that we can do accepting, verifying, and returning parcels to merchants. That's been kind of a gap for us. We really got on the board with the whole front-end shipping piece of the industry and found we were still lacking a little bit in the returns department. So we've been beefing up on that for years. Additional conveniences will be achieved through seamless acceptance, right? So I know we have some of our BMEU staff here. Yep, oh, there she is. She stood up in the back. That's good. And we're going to start using electronic documentation and scanning technologies to stream the mail acceptance process as well. And this was actually open, the seamless acceptance was actually opened up in this past June for folks to participate. It's through our business business customer gateway. If you haven't been there yet or don't have an account, you want to take advantage of that. You'll also hear, and we talk about informed delivery, that you can access our mailer campaign portal through the business customer gateway too. So again, the vision for the customer experience is innovative technology solutions, a relentless focus on the use of data to understand the better needs of the customer. Now we move on to the next piece, which is empowering, engaging postal employees, first of all. And so we do this several ways. I'll touch on each of these. We have data, is really what we're focusing on, but we understand that our employees are the ones that are truly advocates for our customers. Honestly, this is where you see so many postal employees that are so passionate about what they do and want to be able to solve these issues for our customers. And so we want to be able to give them more tools to do that. We're looking at additional work in relation to career development for employees. We have academies and things like that for postal employees that want to do like what I do and move up through the postal service, or like Ryan says he's going to stay here and be the postmaster for a long time. He loves that job and feels that he can best add value right in that position in the organization. So whether it's enhanced postmaster training, opportunities in temporary positions. I think Tracy mentioned you were on a detail working in a different position. We do a lot of that in the Postal Service. We have a new Rural Academy Rural Carrier Academy. And these are just a few ways that we're working to help keep our employees future ready along with the rest of the organization. The other thing, informed mobility, right? So you hear a lot about informed. Are you getting a theme there of informed, right? And that really is the ability to take the data that we're also going to be sharing with you as mailers and using it internally. Data mining is just such a huge opportunity, and you really have the ability for the folks that are the feet on the street or in the post offices out here or in the plant to get real-time information in order to make proactive operational decisions. We're going to be able to see the mail flowing in and out, and part of that is our enterprise analytics platform. And it actually allows us to use data for efficiencies on the work floor, right? I sit back in the Dakotas district office, and we have the call it the LOC. I think, of course, we have acronyms for everything, but we can actually. There's someone there monitoring every day and watching the carriers and knowing when they can expect their carriers in the office at every single end of the day, and ensuring that they're doing things right operationally. We have, GPS information, those types of things. And the reason we do that is not because we're trying to be, big brother. It's because our job is to ensure that our employees are all doing their jobs and they're doing it effectively, because Postal Service, no tax dollars, right? What you pay for in the mail is how we run our business. So it's very important to us that we manage our employees, and we've never been able to do that more so than we can today. So really the concept of mining and visualizing the data in order to make operational decisions and data-driven decisions, the scientists in the room are going to love that, right? All right, so you can go to the next slide. So innovating to deliver value. A lot of this we're already talking about innovation, right? all of these things are innovative in what we're talking about, but it's such a fast pace. It's very difficult, almost like, when you buy a new iPhone or a Android or whatever phone you're getting, by the time you get it and you have it 3 months, they're coming out with another one with new bells and whistles and everything else. And so it's changing so rapidly, but that's why we work with the mailing industry to understand what needs to be done and to test new approaches and better serve our customers. So innovations such as the improved mobile experience. We have, the mobile app for the Postal Service has been new and improved. We have a new and improved USPS.com experience if you go to our website at all. And then also informed delivery are just examples of some of the recent enhancements. And really what we're trying to do is make sure that mail remains relevant and valuable by merging physical mail with our daily digital lives. Right? So we do have a contest that we have been doing for the last several years. Some of you might be familiar with it. It's for identify innovative campaigns that include mail and highlight the best practices. Gary Reblin talked about the QR code. It's not your father's QR code, right? That's how far those things have come. So the Irresistible Mail Award is actually going to be rebranded this year. It's the Next Generation Campaign Award, and I'm excited to say that one of the main criteria is that you have to do an informed delivery campaign with your mailing campaign, right? So it wasn't my idea, but someone else brought it up, and so I was on board, and you're going to hear much more about that today. But we had some just amazing creative mail pieces done. I got to see them at the National Postal Forum, where they actually had like a mail piece that had a little hologram or something. When you hold your phone up to it, it takes you into this digital experience that, kind of the whole take a trip and never leave the farm thing, right? So we'll share out more details later. Usually you can do mailings over the course of probably between now and next March or April. Turn in your contest applications, and then the winners will be announced at the NPF. So in relation to delivery, so last mile, Postal Service has the niche on last mile, right? I mean, we have an extensive network that is much more far-reaching than our competitors, and most of our competitors, use the Postal Service. They're some of our largest shippers, right? FedEx and UPS are some of our largest customers. They understand the value of the Postal Service's network and our reach. So as volumes and revenues continue to go, we're going to simplify our products, but also give people more control over when, where, and how they receive packages. Right? So that's all part of the informed delivery platform, is that you see when your packages are coming as consumers. You can say, deliver it to my back door, or deliver it to my neighbor, or don't deliver it at all today. And you'll have the same types of visibility into your packages as businesses as well. So the Next Generation Mailbox is another thing that we've done, and it's in stores today. I know they carry it at the Menards and the Home Depot and some of those stores in Sioux Falls. I see them there. So a lot of folks are trying to get to a larger mailbox that will fit some of their packages, so that they don't necessarily have to have them placed on a doorstep or something. Really, it keeps it out of the elements, and then to our friends at the inspection service, right, also gives you a bit of privacy as well. So next we're going to talk a little bit about informed delivery. So the mobile strategy, our mobile strategy in a digital world. The marketers moving to mobile to catch the eyes of customers, right? But then they always take them to some kind of online experience. And what we're helping you do with informed delivery is actually to extend the mail moment. So we'll talk about this again in a little more detail. I think you can go to the next slide. Yep. So the value of digital and physical channel integration is key. Everybody gets that, right? You see pop-up ads, you go online, you search for a pair of shoes. The next time you go to your email, it's popping up, buy these shoes or whatever, right? It's real-time tie into your shopping behaviors and those types of things, and I'm sure you notice that some folks are using it much more, let's say, eloquently than others, right? There's some folks that are really ahead of the game in relation to watching your little crumbs that you drop as you go through the internet and see what you're shopping for. So again, what we're looking to do is help your message connect more with your customers, whether they're existing customers or acquisition customers. We integrate physical and digital. We have already. We're promoting mailing promotions every year where you use QR codes, near field communication, augmented reality. It's really that whole immersive digital experience that folks are looking for, and not just millennials, right? I mean, I did that booth in at the National Postal Forum. The goggles were a little unwieldy for that, but it was still a really cool experience. So what we're looking at is eye-catching, effective ways to make it more memorable. Then the other thing you have here is for our printers in the room, right? You have all of these technologies where you can do variable data printing and create more attention-grabbing and relevant information to make mail a more memorable experience, right? So you can, I buy a pair of shoes, and the next time you mail me something, you can say, oh, here's a pair of socks that are gonna look great with your shoes, kind of thing. And then the other thing is that you get the ability to actually track and measure response rates, which again is very valuable to mailers. Either whether you do it yourself or you have a company that might do some data analysis for you. It's the gamut. Always talk about raising mail with a village, right? It's never something that you do by yourself. It's we're all in it together. So the other thing is we're seeing these campaigns then change from a single channel, from one dimension really, to omni-channel marketing. And social media, huge and powerful way to engage with folks. You have someone else, a friend of yours, that suggests something, such a powerful way in order to be able to spread your message. Whether again it's regardless of the type of business you're in. I know we have our folks back there that do more of the manual type of work in relation to building trenches and those types of things, versus the folks in the county that are trying to get the message out to consumers. Completely different dynamics of who you are reaching out to, but really the same concept of how you do it. We can go to the next slide. Thank you. All right, so informed delivery. So this again is our foundation for a digital strategy for us, and what it really does, so just to say this again, that informed delivery is for residential consumers, right? Because everyone always asks me, can I get it as a business? I want to be able to see my mail too, right? We get that. We're going to be working on that. My boss has that on my list of 200 things to do over the next year or so. So we will be testing that, but it is for residential consumers, and it gives them the ability to digitally preview their household's mail that will be arriving soon, right? The majority of it's delivered the same day. Anyone signed up for informed delivery in here? Yeah, good. A lot of the postal folks. We get some of the industry folks, especially if you're going to be interested in doing a campaign, you might want to sign up. I know Ryan has his iPad back there, and I also have my phone here that we have an app for that, believe it or not, where we can just scan your driver's license, the barcode on it, and we can sign you up very quickly for informed delivery if you want to experience yourself. So you're going to see these grayscale images here that are on the screen, both the one above and then down below that looks like a handwritten piece, and that's the one type of pieces that consumers are going to see the most often, right? The majority of folks that are in here that have informed delivery, my guess is most of you have never seen an interactive campaign from a mailer. You sign up for Hayneedle, for example, you will if you buy anything from Hayneedle. There's lots of customers participating. We'll talk about that later in the informed delivery session, but the color content here shows the example of what we call a representative image or a ride-along image, and you actually have the ability to use that space below your mail piece. So your mail pieces, as you're sending them out, letter size, automated mail pieces that have an intelligent mail barcode on them. When we put them into walk sequence for our carriers, we snap pictures of them, and instead of discarding them, we're sending them to consumers. consumers. And then as a business, you're going to be able to embellish that and provide additional information that rides along with that mail piece. And you can take them, it ultimately takes you to a digital experience that allows someone to shop more immediately, or certainly to even drive them to the mailbox. So next slide, informed delivery builds anticipation of the mail, right? We've done a lot of different surveys. This number here actually is old. Of course, with these types of presentations, they make us finalize them 6 weeks in advance or whatever it is. And so we have 6.2 million subscribers today that are signed up for informed delivery. Our goal is to have 20 million by next May. And, if you look at a population of 150 million adults in the U.S., give or take, right? That number could go up exponentially, right? And especially you're talking with our inspection service, with unfortunately some of the things with mail theft and stuff. Some folks are looking at it from that angle as well. But we did surveys. And we've done several surveys. This most recent one we did in July, we surveyed about, I think it was 75 or 80,000 of our informed delivery subscribers, right out of these millions that we have. About 25,000 of them responded. So almost a third. That in and of itself is amazing to have that type of response to a survey, right? These people are engaged. They're on the go, but they're engaged, right? And that's going to be a benefit to you in the long run. So I know you heard again, the NPF summary. Gary Reblin was talking about 91% of consumers were satisfied. That was from our January survey of 2017. Our July 2017 survey has 95% of our respondents saying that they are either satisfied or very satisfied with informed delivery. Most of you would love that for a number, right, for your business. The other thing is, you hear about email open rates. We'll talk about that a little bit more too, about the 70% of our emails that are sent out every day are opened every day, and most of them very early in the morning. But 90 on this group that was surveyed, right? The folks that are engaged, they might be the type A people, I call them. But they say that they review their notifications 95% of the time from those folks, and 9 out of 10 people would recommend informed delivery to others. People love the convenience and early action. They love the visibility into their mailbox and access while away. And we'll talk more about your value for mailers again when we get into the session. But so we encourage you to sign up for informed delivery for your personal use at your personal home address if you haven't already. And then we also recognize that the PCC can be evangelists for the Postal Service, and so we hope that you will tell your customers or your friends and family members about informed delivery as well. The mailer campaign portal is going to be coming up soon. I'll talk again more about that in the informed delivery session, so we don't need to spend a ton of time here. All right, you can go to the next slide. So this is I got a little ahead of myself. That's our sign up now slide. And at the bottom here is where we have our information for mailers to go, a website that talks to you all about what informed delivery campaigns are. But you're going to don't have to read all that stuff because I'll tell you all about it today. So let's go to the next one, which is pillar 3, which is investing in our future, right? So we're strategically investing in our operations and infrastructure so that we can improve and digitally integrate our business capabilities and adapt to emerging markets. We're making investments in our advanced letter processing systems. These were things I didn't know either. Hopefully, I know our plant manager was back here somewhere. Yeah, so hopefully you're more in the know on some of these things than I am, but modifying our delivery barcode sorters, which ultimately are what enable informed delivery, so I'm anxious to see what they're doing there. We're looking to have more efficient mail entry operations and increase volume capacity, right? So we're looking at, how can we best utilize our space to make sure that we can handle all this package volume that we're getting. And speaking of packages, we have package sorting capability as looking at deploying more compact and modular sorting systems into some of our plants, and I'm sure probably even our stations and branches possibly, to accommodate the growth in shipping. And then we also understand how critical mail transport equipment is to our mailers coming up, especially this time of year. We've invested a lot of money in making sure that you have the trays and sleeves and tubs and sacks and those types of things that you need in order to move the mail. So for vehicle fleet, we talk about that. You can imagine Postal Service has a lot of money invested in vehicles. We are in a new prototype selection process to obtain vehicles that are going to provide reliable and efficient delivery while reducing the environmental impact of what we do, right? So we're looking at hybrid and new technologies, alternative fuel capabilities, as well as cargo vans and mixed delivery vans. So it's not going to be the one size fits all that kind of worked before. Those of us in South Dakota were a little dismayed with the last LLV that was purchased 20 years ago, the long life vehicle that we've had, which has done really well for us, but we weren't sure how it was going to get through the snow, right? We got a little bit of snow in the Dakotas district, so, but it worked out fine, and of course, in some cases we've adapted and gotten, other vehicles, as well as snowmobiles and boats and other things that we use, right, to transport the mail at different times. So the other thing on this slide is informed visibility. So again, sticking with the informed, a lot of people confuse informed visibility, informed delivery. Informed visibility is our data platform. It's a think of it as the kind of the cloud. It's where all the data is sitting that's going to connect everybody and allow us to effectively use information to make better and smarter fact-based decisions, right? So we're going to be not only using it internally, but having mailers use it so that you receive powerful data-driven, near real-time information on your mailings as well. So we have the package side of the house. So informed visibility is really our solution to the mails, the letters and flats and postcards side of the house. The next one. So in relation to informed visibility, we're tracking the movement of literally every mail piece, right? You saw the inspection service. I think they were talking about 203 billion pieces of mail or whatever it is that we go through every year. A lot of data, right? And keep in mind that every piece of mail has multiple scan events on it, massive amounts of data. And we can use that data to actively look and see where we have gaps or issues in our transportation or in our mail processing units or any type of information that we can see, and it's based on this data. So this platform provides us this analytics capability. We literally track every piece, every bundle, every tray, every pallet, every truck, right? Everything is nested as it goes. A letter goes in a tray goes in a container goes in a truck. All of that's tracked. So really ultimately to give you that real-time visibility to see where your mail pieces are. And also for the workroom floor, with our managers can track incoming mail volumes, transportation, carrier movement, and processing throughput real time. Some of us aren't going to be used to that. We're going to have to adapt a little bit to learn and see how to use that data, but it's going to provide you much more information than you've had in the past to really make these beneficial decisions, both operationally for you as the mailing industry and for the Postal Service. So we're committed to getting 100% visibility by enhancing our scanning processes. So also talks a little bit here about advanced business intelligence, customizable dashboards, and the concept of being reactive versus proactive in relation to informed visibility. And I'm sure that we'll be rolling out additional information on how you can actually use these tools. I think we're kind of in the infancy of this today. But this single user interface that's going to give you one-stop shopping for mail visibility. You also get access through the Business Customer Gateway. So again, that's another theme. The Postal Service's Business Customer Gateway has a lot of this information. All right, so that's our strategy, right, for the Postmaster General and the team of folks that have been working diligently in Washington, D.C. by not only listening to consumers in the mailing industry, but also to our employees, and make sure that we stay committed to our fundamental mission to provide timely, reliable, secure, and affordable mail delivery to everybody. We continue to transform the Postal Service to not necessarily merely adapt, but actually anticipate and prepare for what's going to be happening next. So the next slide. Yep. So competition and change is constant, right, across the industry. We're going to continue moving with pace, transforming the customer experience and the needs of digital consumers. So we're looking to stay in a very competitive position and use continuous innovation while honoring our rich history and trusted relationships. So with any strong partnership, our industry must continue to operate with a shared vision and common purpose, which is why we appreciate you being here today. The last slide, again, to thank you for being here, and would love to see some of you down in San Antonio for May 6th through 9th for the Postal Forum. And then, of course, just a heads up that National PCC Week next year is September 24th through the 28th. I so appreciate your time. I know, Ryan, you have some prizes to give away and such, so we'll move on to that.
Thank you.
Yep.